Hey, we're live! Shh! Silence in the theaters! Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Three People in the Studio. You know me as Joe.
I'm Zack.
And I'm Gerard.
Okay, so that's happening. Either the name tags are mixed up or they both feel like they're trying to be funny. I don't know. But we're going to find out. We're going to start off the stream with something that's pretty depressing, but nobody really wants to talk about. Thanks, Trump. And that's, well, if you thought the NVIDIA cards were pricey before, wait till these new tariffs come through. What tariffs, might you ask? Well, I don't know. How about the tariffs for every product that is manufactured in China that gets imported into the US? Pretty awful.
Yeah.
Pretty damn awful. This is going to affect everybody on a level of people that build their own PCs, companies like us. I mean, we're going to do things to try and mitigate the damage as much as possible. We're probably going to bank on a lot of promotions, and you'll see those promotions happening through the year's end. But you can expect the major effect of these tariffs to start to actually be introduced, I would say, end of November into December.
This is definitely not a new strategy, but this is one of the more aggressive tariffs I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
It's supposed to start at 10% and taper up to 25% by next year.
Right, and out of $200 billion worth of tariffs that's going to be imposed, 25% and within that realm is just PC components alone. So,
yeah.
But hey, notebooks and consoles are exempt.
I know, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Not that we really, I mean, notebooks great. You know, we're the kind of company to where we really don't. Notebooks are not our profitable portion of our business. We more or less offer notebooks because we have to offer notebooks to be competitive. I mean, we like to offer notebooks, right? It's a different product offering. Right. It's good to have many tools in your belt. But that's not our bread and butter. You know, we do that to have our own product line of notebooks overall, and it ends there. So it's great to be able to remain competitive in the market without having to introduce tariffs on notebooks. But still, I mean, you have major manufacturers like AMD, Intel, and Qualcomm that are kind of huge proponents of trying to get these tariffs to go away so people don't suffer from them. I mean, what do you think, Gerard? Do you think that they're going to be successful in doing that?
To be completely honest with you, I don't think so. Greed is a potent poison, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, to be quite frank.
I feel like there needs to be a bumper sticker.
I probably is. In fact, I think that's where I got it from. No, I feel like it's not going to go away anytime soon, at least not without involving a major political change in our current economic climate.
Sure.
It's kind of a bad situation, to be honest with you. It hurts everybody, the consumer, you know, the manufacturers, everyone.
It's one of those strategies that it can help, but for companies like us where you can't easily shift this sort of manufacturing into the States, it hurts us.
Oh yeah.
So
it's a kick right in the baby mood.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for American business, woohoo, but yeah, it's some things are just, it's not that easy.
Right, and then on that same token, there's always the option of moving manufacturing out of China.
Right.
But that's a costly process all in itself.
Exactly. Yeah. Parts manufacturing for electronics is pretty complex, so there's a huge upfront investment when you're moving those things, over into a different continent.
Right. You know what this kind of reminds me of? This reminds me of when the FDA was considering banning vaping devices when vaping became a thing.
Really?
So yeah, and they were gonna ban certain kinds of e-juices and certain chemicals. So basically, what manufacturers were saying, and people who worked for like major vape device manufacturing, what they were saying in Reddit threads is that all they were gonna do to bypass FDA's regulations, because they classified certain mods in like vape pens to be correlated with these banned vaping devices, they were just gonna start naming them different things. And then whatever the end users wanted to use them for is entirely up to them. But this is actually being marketed as a flashlight. And it has a 510 adapter on top of it for you to add extensions to it. And it just so happens these vape tanks also have 510 adapters that are in no way, shape, or form designed to work for this, but they can, but that's not what they're being marketed toward. I have a feeling manufacturers are going to do the same thing. They're going to get real creative with some of their parts. Like they'll have auxiliary plants in like Taipei or something to where their parts are going from China to Taipei, and then they're going to be bundled with things and then shipped to the US to avoid the tariff.
I think you actually hit the nail on the head with that, because we see it all the time. With like bongs, for example, which are supposed to be used for tobacco. We all know that's not what happens.
The wacky tobacco.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just all about how creative the producers of these parts can be.
It's like, what is it called? Like water pipe. right? It's a water pipe. It's like, man, I never got that rich, smooth flavor of American spirit tobacco unless I just shoved that thing in a water pipe, huh?
It's a smoking vase.
It's a decorative hollow lamp.
Oh gosh.
With cord management arm.
It's a lava lamp with an opening at the top and no lava.
You can make your own lava 2.0. So speaking of really terrible ideas, Walmart did a thing, apparently, Zach.
So Walmart purchased 17,000 Oculus Go VR headsets to train their employees.
to train them how to look away.
Right.
So, look away from the woman wearing tan pants.
It's like in the business we are and working with our customers who want custom VR solutions. I think we all expected places like VR to be like places like Walmart to be the last to hop into VR. So to see them to just hop straight in with 17,000 units to train basically minimum wage employees, straight out of left field.
It's like, hey, we have these great new VR Go headsets that we're going to use to train you all. Hooray! By the way, you're all taking a 50-cent an hour pay cut.
But look at the VR.
Maybe
Tan yoga pants VR.
Maybe now the executives of Walmart can put on the VR Go headset and actually see what it's like to walk in their stores. So as consumers, it's like, wow, if I would have known these were the kinds of things that were going on, I wouldn't have been a proponent of this.
But hey, it boosts their confidence.
Yeah, so
Whose confidence? The shoppers or the people that are going into Walmart wearing barely anything?
Well, I meant the employees, but I mean, it's,
I feel like
the people
confidence is
wearing
irrelevant
barely
for them.
anything in Walmart are already confident enough as is.
Right.
Or oblivious.
Or
Put on this
oblivious.
headset. This is how people see
Yeah.
you.
I mean, realistically, can obliviousness and confidence be mistaken for each other? I mean, I think it can.
I mean, there is a fine line, and I
Yeah.
think the VR Go headsets are going to meet that fine line somewhere in between. Why are you wearing that tube top, and are you sure you're wearing pants?
In all seriousness, though, back to what Gerard was saying, is like that 10 to 15% increase in test scores is what they're documenting with the deployment of these headsets. Could be used for training, like stocking the shelves or what have you, identifying mismatched items just to see their attention to detail.
Forklift training, employee management, and then there's like, I don't want to say loss retention, but then you also have like escalations. It's like, what will you do when you are in a checkout line and
Right.
you have an elderly woman that is giving you 35 coupons behind a man that clearly has no patience, is in a rush, and starts screaming obscenities at these elderly women? Do you step in? Do you pretend it's not happening? Or do you just close your till and walk out and never return?
Yeah, it definitely adds an extra bit of depth that they're now going to see this.
We got some people waving to us. Hi, Maureen. Hi, Josh.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? Thanks for joining. Happy to have you here. And a perfect time in which we're having a discussion about how great of a purchase Walmart made with 17,000 Oculus headsets. Because, if there's ever an American resource that really needs to get into VR, it's Wally World. Not the educational system. No, there's no purpose for that.
What educational system?
Oh, that's an entirely separate topic and live stream.
We could rant about that for the rest of the live stream.
Hi, Tufu. Yellow.
What's up, dude?
Oh, hey, Tuvu.
Waving back to all the people. And Tufu! Let's see, Josh has a comment here on Facebook. Give it 3 months. He'll drop it like all their other new training. I mean, are you talking about dropping the headsets or just dropping the idea overall? Because I have a feeling tons of these headsets are going to get dropped because they're going to force fit everybody to wear these headsets at some point, right?
Maybe dropping the employees.
I mean, they already are.
Exactly.
It's just, to me, it's kind of deplorable that a company like Walmart can invest money in 17,000 headsets, okay? So let's do the math real quick. Even if they get a price break, okay, the Oculus Go is going for what, 200 retail?
I think
Is that
so,
what it is?
yeah.
Let's say they're getting these for 180 because of the bulk price, right? So that company is going to invest $3,060,000, okay? $3 million in headsets, but they can't invest half of that in making sure that their employees have adequate health care? Instead, they just dump them to the government?
Or more open checkout lines.
They could take an eighth of that and have more open checkout lines, and then they'd probably increase their sales significantly.
Exactly. And reduce time for people that are just trying to buy cheesecake at 2 a.m.
I mean, I'd be that guy.
I was actually speaking about myself, but yeah.
Oh, wow. So that
You guys can go together now.
Hey, we have a lot more in common.
Hey.
Let's go to Walmart. Well, they're trained by VR headsets. to be even worse than they already are. Ridiculous. Let's go on to something that's actually really exciting news, apparently, Gerard.
So Eurocom has confirmed that the i9 9700K and 9900K are going to have soldered heat spreaders.
Woo!
It's beautiful
Praise
here.
Gaben.
Sandy bridge is back, baby.
Thank you, Intel.
The bridge
Thank
is
you.
no longer sandy. It's smooth and lined with solder.
Anywho, Eurocom, which is a manufacturer of high-end laptops over in the EU, has confirmed that they are, in fact, soldered. Now, soldering, and for those of you who don't know, will result in much cooler temperatures versus just using, the crud thermal paste that they've been using.
Solder. Is that the brand crud?
Might as well be.
How many grams is that crud?
I'd assume so. Anywho, solder transfers heat much better than thermal paste any day of the week. And it will result in much lower temperatures, especially when overclocked. You won't notice the difference much in base temperatures, but overclocking is where this is really going to shine. And Zach, you being in production yourself, you know a fair bit about temperatures and overclocking.
Oh, yes, and I also know how frequently we have to delid customer chips. It seems like anything 6-core plus for Intel's been delid's been the regular. So I'm extremely excited to see this.
So the good news is behind the CPUs that had to be delided in order to get proper temperatures is you learn to be really good at deliding fairly fast.
Yeah.
The bad news is, well, there is no bad news. So this is great. None.
I think I could do a delid in less than 10 minutes now. So.
Yeah, and this is the first mainstream CPU from Intel that has had a soldered IHS since what, Sandy Bridge? Yeah, Sandy Bridge.
Yep, that's correct.
So I'm very excited to see what kind of results we can get from overclocking with the lower temperatures that we can expect now from these new CPUs.
Nice. Apparently we have a viewer on Twitch, Regulus. I can't see the text very well, but apparently he's on the phone leaving a voicemail, and now he's going to watch the stream. Well, thanks for coming. Happy to have you.
Nice. Happy to have you.
And Josh says, hey, this is in relation to the VR headsets. 17,000 people is how many managers Walmart just fired. You're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. Like, how can we make capital gains from this situation?
Wow.
Well, we don't need to have
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, we don't need to have hiring managers anymore. Instead, we'll have one virtual hiring manager.
We'll have firing managers.
Yes.
Perfect.
Firing squad, fueled by VR. Oculus is like, great branding opportunity.
I didn't know they loaded super hot onto those goes.
Well, I don't know. Josh says, wait, no more deliding? I mean, there's always room for deliding. We don't need to delid these new Intel processors that are coming out, apparently. But I mean,
right.
There's still a desire and a demand for, previous gen chips, especially with the rumored reported shortage.
Yeah.
That's soon to be affecting everybody. We'll get people to get into older gen because at the end of the day, if you explain to somebody that there's an alternative that's really similar in performance, nobody's going to argue in saving money over a 5% difference.
And the thing to consider, too, is this is right now just for the i9 chips. We're not sure if i7 or i5 are going to be be just like the i9s.
We have no idea yet.
Right, they might have just done this out of necessity, not because they're doing it to the entire product stack.
Higher core count, higher speeds, so that might be why.
But yeah, we're not going to stop offering deliding. And just because you can't delid them doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Because it's already as good as it's going to get. There's nothing better we can do by deliding a soldered chip.
It's all downhill from here. But man, am I glad that we didn't decide to do our own testing in that? 'Cause it's like, let's see if it's snap. Can we contact our Intel rep for more?
Oh my gosh.
That possible?
Yeah, because the amount of force it takes to do a delid, it's pretty much impossible to tell if it's soldered or not until you have it off and it's broken.
Yeah, it's soldering. Besides the fact that there's 0 point to deliding a soldered processor, unless you just want to see what like the die looks like and the transistors. I mean, there's no point.
Right.
And the hassle that's involved with doing that, it's just the juice.
A lot of heat.
The juice is not worth the squeeze.
All right, Forrest.
As some people put it. Did Forrest come say that?
No, but you sounded like him.
Oh, well, I had the chip installed and it was running at 60 degrees Celsius. Since we're on the subject of chip manufacturers, AMD is highly likely to secure 30% of the desktop market as we see it, which this is absolutely amazing compared to where they were like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, complete 180.
Dude, complete 180. And I mean, this is a good opportunity for AMD to drive sales even further because of, again, reported chip and material shortages, which AMD is likely to not be affected by since they're manufacturing the majority of their stuff stateside. So this is all import issues and due to the tariffs that's apparently causing the shortages of materials. So Being as that Ryzen is solely responsible for them taking 30% of that market share, I really hope that that's more motivation for them to improve on their manufacturing process and design, which is something we covered in previous live streams. I know.
Right.
What do you think? Do you guys feel like this is something AMD can drive further, or do you feel like that this is as good as it's going to get?
I feel like the only way is up for AMD because they're pushing farther and farther with their technology. While their raw performance is still ever so slightly behind, the technology is starting to leap ahead of Intel. So it's only a matter of time, and this upward trend I think is going to continue.
And that raw performance might just change with 7 nanometer. I mean, they already have 7 nanometer almost ready to deploy, whereas Intel's still struggling with 10.
Intel gave up on 7.
Yeah.
They're not even going for it.
Yeah, so if Intel's struggling with 10 and AMD's ready to push 7, I mean, it's, the transistor density on 7 is going to be much greater than anything that Intel's got right now, so performance is going to definitely go up.
Perfect timing. Naruto just said, 2025, 10 nanometer, we'll get there. I mean, you're not wrong.
Try 3035.
I hope we're exploring different materials by then we're getting thin.
I was going to say, we'll be done with carbon nanotubes by the time Intel deploys 10 nanometer on silicon.
Brooke just said we'll get to Mars first.
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
Elon will take us there.
More on that later.
And Naruto also said that he asked if the 9th gen i5 and i7s are still going to use TIM. I mean, we don't know. You know, that's one of the questions he brought up. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see. I hope not.
It'd be cool if they're soldered.
If they're going to use soldered for one series, I might as well just do it for all.
It just confuses me why they moved away from solder in the first place, just because of
reducing costs.
Right, but the cost difference isn't that much. It's like $1 per chip or something like that.
Even that. It was like 15 cents.
15.
Are you serious?
It was something.
Yeah.
Because solder's cheap.
Are we talking materials or are we talking?
I'm talking material and manufacturing was about $1 per chip.
Wow, I don't know, because off the top of my head, it feels like if you were going to go from using tin to solder, applying solder to a chip is going to take far more processes and tools and machining through a manufacturing process to apply than just dropping tin on it and allowing pressure to take its toll with the adhesive and you call it a day. But that's I don't work for manufacturer. I've never worked for manufacturer.
Right.
I don't know.
From what I've read, it's the initial upfront cost, of course, is higher because of the manufacturing process, but it ultimately ends up equaling out to like $1 per chip after they're all said and done.
Natufu was just saying on Facebook that back in the day he killed a lot of chips just from the, I don't know, is it soldered? Is it tin? Well, I got my answer. Dead.
Why isn't my 8350
wall
working
ornament
anymore?
I tried to delit a chip once. It was one of my older chips, and I ended up scraping right over the memory controller.
Ooh.
So it would work, but then it would blue screen randomly. And it went from giving me one specific blue screen error code to giving me your CPU is dead error code. Don't even try this anymore.
Just leave me alone. Just let me die.
Yeah, I just want to die a horrible death. You keep poking at me. Stop desecrating my body.
Did you delit it with a razor blade?
No. I used the vise and a block of wood method.
That's how I did it.
Gerard and I are both like, yes.
3770K, baby.
The best was the transition into, I want to say it was AVADirect, when they started making the wafers much thinner and more fragile. And I knew somebody that used the block and the hammer method, and they broke 2 AVADirect processors one after the other. And they were like, I don't get it. So they ended up doing, putting a blade to it the third time because their wife was like, I swear, if you're going to spend $1,000 on a $300 chip, I'm leaving you. And he was like, okay, guess I'm going to go with the sure thing, not the easy way, which, I mean, good for him, but.
Vice method's always so entertaining to watch, though, especially if you've never delitted before. If you're not familiar with it, just look up Vice method delid. And you'll probably cringe.
At this point, somebody's probably created like a Vice lid delid ASMR video because watching the video itself is semi-pleasing because it's just the noise of him breaking open this chip and nothing more. So he doesn't talk in it. It's just like a guy with his hands and he's like, oh, and you're like, oh, it's pretty interesting.
Now that hand motion.
Oh.
So for context, you're putting a block of wood up against the chip while the heat spreader's in the vise and hitting it with a hammer slowly.
With no emphasis on any of those words, which could have caused possible HR issues. So congratulations. Anyway, they moved away from soldered because of the death rate of CPUs. I mean, you're not wrong. Or knowing Intel, they probably couldn't care because if you think about it, if you buy a chip and then you break it, you're going to buy another chip, right? I don't think anybody that has gone through the effort of delidding a chip is just going to break the chip and go, well, I'm not getting a PC anymore.
Yeah.
They'll just buy another chip. So that may have actually played into their sales. This may hurt their sales. And it'd be interesting to see if that drop in sales is directly correlated with the fact that, hey, people aren't delidding and breaking their processing.
I feel like that's a bit of a reach.
Could you just imagine an Intel rep like, oh, hell, like, look at all the sales we lost because people didn't have to delid and didn't break them. Maybe we should go back to 10. No.
I feel like the increase of sales just because of the fact that they're not volcanoes will more than make up for that.
I mean, it's true. I mean, the fact that they're not volcanoes anymore is a fantastic quality, for one.
Yeah.
2, food did it with 3 razor blades on top of your cooking stove. I mean, that makes sense, but
Yeah.
is it like a ceramic stove, or was it like a gas stove that's got the coils, and you just like jam the chip into one of the coils, and you're like,
Oh my gosh.
ever so slightly, I must ever so slightly. Ever
So-
so slightly.
Regulo says he's killed many in the Vice method himself. And Rarudus was asking, when is the Verge going to do a delid tutorial? I would pay money to see that.
It's just 2 pliers.
Oh my gosh. You guys have both seen the Verge video, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah.
the Verge
Yeah.
video, and it gave me cancer.
Oh my gosh. To any of you who haven't seen it, they made a how to build a PC tutorial, and there was at least 25 mistakes, several of which were pretty serious. The other were just like, why are you doing this?
I can't tell if I'm growing upset at what you just said because we're talking about something that gave me cancer, or because you're giving The Verge more publicity over something that was just horrendous to watch.
Now, remember, there's no.
I don't-
such thing as
I'm sorry,
mistakes.
Joe. I've let you down.
No,
What have I done?
I don't know.
Now, Zach,
I'm sorry, Bananakin, I have failed you.
No, Bananakin.
remember,
No.
there's no such thing as mistakes, okay? Them drawing on the CPU with thermal paste because they needed extra was a happy little accident. They learned from Bob Ross himself.
We're going to make ourselves a happy little accident on the CPU. That's right. We're going to pan ourselves a whole lot of knowledge that we don't have when we're doing
We're gonna put a really crooked octagon here on the CPU.
Now you just kind of sound like the guy from Family Guy when he buys stuff and he's like, I don't know if I can afford the toilet paper. It's real nice, but it's not on sale.
I wish I knew who you were talking about.
Brooke has a picture of this CPU.
No.
Is that what it is? Oh, of the Verge build.
Oh.
Can we see it? Can we see it, please? Just, for anybody who hasn't seen this video, we're going to show it real quick. If you're not wearing sunglasses, you may want to.
My eye is already twitching.
Some form of... Oh, God! Wires crossing!
That cable
No.
management is beautiful.
Management!
I feel like it takes effort to do that bad.
Bellissimo.
Like, was this guy a troll? I don't know.
It's the Verge.
Josh said the video is only less cancer than Bowsette. Oh, that's so great.
Oh,
my
my
God.
gosh.
That, we should do our own, like, we should do the opposite of the Verge video, or what we should do is we should do our own build video, like the Verge did, except we're blindfolded or on fire.
I feel like we can still do better.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting.
Let's have a blindfolded competition.
I thought about that. I think we should do that soon, like on live stream.
I feel like the hardest part will be socketing the CPU. Other than that, it's probably a cakewalk.
Yeah, because you go to feel where the socket is, and then you
And-
jam,
oh, crap, I
jam
just-
your index finger and all the pins. One of them gets shot up underneath your fingernail, and you're like, oh, it must build! You shove it in, it doesn't post. You have to troubleshoot it blindfolded, so you can't look at the post codes. There's no speaker. You haven't plugged it into a header, and you don't even know if it's the right header. The most challenging thing is feeling around for the headers unless the board has like a power button on it. I would purposely make sure that whatever board we used has no power button on the board locally. So you'd have to find a way to power the board.
And knowing you'd choose a board that has a non-standard pin layout, so I couldn't just guess where the power pins are.
I would honestly just end up taking a flathead and feeling on a combination of 2 pins and then just like touching it. Like the fan's on, shove my finger in a CPU fan and take off half my fingernail. Ah! It'd be an absolute mess, but probably very entertaining to watch.
That would be.
I feel.
I personally would love to see you chop your finger off with a CPU fan.
Great. That's all. Now I know where you stand as far as what your well-being for me should be. Awesome.
Amputation is entertainment.
I mean,
Hey, whatever you're into.
Josh said blindfolded and gloves with oil inside. Or not Not blindfolded and no gloves, but you constantly, every 5 minutes, somebody comes by and lathers your hands with baby oil.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Or every 5 minutes you have to put your hands down on the table and somebody smacks it with something blunt to make your hands fall asleep.
What is this, a Russian interrogation?
Hands out. No.
Put hands out, you not build computer
Hands
good
out.
enough. In Soviet Russia, computer abuse you. I mean, I guess.
Speaking of foreign cultures, France has pushed for the right to be forgotten to be globally enforced.
What the hell is right to be forgotten?
So the right to be forgotten is basically any French citizen can request that results for, say, I don't know, their old MySpace page that embarrasses them to be removed from any search engine.
Oh, so I have the right for this horrible desecration of what used to be
Right.
my face.
I feel like I'm
removed.
understating it. There's more serious use cases, but this is definitely something that happens.
And you chose
Yeah.
MySpace. Even though that is, as Americans and our first world problems, everybody would use it for that. Everybody.
Well, I mean, that's just one of those things that you just abandoned when you're like 12 years old, and then people find you and like, oh, look at this guy. But no, seriously, they've had this in effect for a few years now, and French lawyers are trying to push it farther. So essentially, what Google and many other platforms have done is they remove it specifically in France, and France is not happy with this. They want these results to be removed worldwide. Now, Google has claimed that they've been more than accepting of these new rules, removing up to 43% of requests, which is that's pretty high, I think.
Yeah.
So this is not in every country, right?
No.
This is only in certain countries where it's like you can do this.
Right. France is the only one that I know of that has a right to be forgotten or any similar rule.
Man, but wait until the other shoe drops in this issue, because people are like, oh no, I just want to remove embarrassing things. And then you're going to guy that's like, hey, I want you to remove the obvious evidence and trail of me cheating around on my wife for 5 years.
It's kind of like
This is going to be a huge moral issue, dude.
It's
Right.
kind of like the
I don't know.
copyright issue on YouTube. I mean, false copyright strikes all the time on
Yeah,
YouTube
dude.
channels. So I mean, I could see something like this happening with, like you said, removing evidence or like potential employers looking to do background checks or search people's Facebooks and stuff. I mean,
Look though, I get it. I get that with every technology and new avenue out there, there's always ways for you to abuse it. There's nothing we're going to be able to do to get away from that. But this is something just as simple as, are you sure you want this on the internet? Are you sure? Are you, okay, it's on the internet now. It's there. You want to take it back? Can't happen.
Right.
Can't do that. It's like, are people going to start lobbying to get tattoos removed free of charge because they made a choice when they were drunk?
what's like
It's very similar for sure, yeah.
was it Beyonce a few years ago that was threatening to sue people because they wouldn't remove that goofy picture of her from the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that exact facial expression, Joe.
Deal with it.
I consider her being.
If I were her, I'd be more embarrassed about what I was wearing than the face I made. Because at least the face you made, like that's not something you made an active choice to make. It happened in the middle of you making a facial expression, and a photographer caught it at that point in time. But you consciously put on that outfit and walked out with it, and like we're super confident. And people were like, "The hell is she wearing?"
Yeah.
Like that's far worse. What the? What does it say?
Please, Rudo says, please take down all the racist tweets before I run for office.
How could you say that about Obama?
Oh my gosh.
No, but
That's great.
I mean, but that's again like Rudo gets it.
That's something that could happen though, because if they get this global enforcement, there's people that could like, I don't know, just get temporary French citizenship or dual citizenship and be able to make these requests through France, and then all of a sudden it's enforced worldwide because the internet is everywhere. It's not just one country, so.
It is everything. It is one.
Yeah.
It is the technological venom of our society. And I don't mean venom in terms of like poison. I mean like the comic book character.
I was going to say like the character in the movie.
You know, the character that is currently in the process of being butchered in Hollywood right now.
I actually have high hopes for that movie.
I do, because it's Venom and it's a feature film of Venom. But if you scrap away that idea that you're just excited there's a Venom movie and you actually look at it, it just feels a lot like Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited because it's Tom Hardy. I could watch Tom Hardy eat cereal for 3 hours and be entertained.
I don't know, he destroyed Bane. I did not like his rendition of Bane. And I'm probably not going to catch a whole lot of popularity in that statement, but I really did not care for how he portrayed Bane. Because I'm more true to the comic book series
Yeah.
So even though I hate to admit it, Warner Brothers did a much better job portraying Bane, even though those Batman movies were just complete hot garbage. Is the best way to put it in a nice way.
Right.
But I mean, I'm hopeful. How do I feel about the new Joker? You mean Joaquin Phoenix? That I'm actually pumped for.
I am too. I think Joaquin's going to do a good job.
And I'll tell you why. Because the first time I realized that Joaquin Phoenix was going to be the Joker, the first thing that popped in my head was Cleft Lip for number 1. And then Johnny Cash for 2, right? But then I remembered back when Heath Ledger's cast as the Joker, and I was just like, I have no interest in seeing this movie anymore. It's Heath Ledger, it's 10 Things I Hate About You, and Brokeback Mountain, and friggin' the movie with Mel Gibson when they're back in the Civil War fighting and he dies. And
Patriot?
Yeah, The Patriot,
Yeah.
which was a fantastic movie in itself. I couldn't take it seriously. And then it came out. The movie came out, and I was blown away. Like
Yeah.
I shoved both hands and both feet in my mouth and just like swallowed it for an entire 2.5 hours.
Do you want to know what blows me away, Joe? The fact that Intel is going to be ramping up additional 14 nanometer facilities
Why
to
do I
ensure
feel
chip
like-
supply.
That segue.
Why do I feel like that I just got ads? Like I was just scrolling for a new shopping experience, and it's just like, oh, are you looking for these speakers? Well, let me speak to you about this new product.
Well, anywho, some of the 14 nanometer testing, specifically the testing, is going to be moved to a Vietnamese facility under the program, the Copy Exactly program, which is new to Intel. Now, I say testing specifically because apparently one of the main bottlenecks for 14 nanometer supply was not wafer production, was actually testing. So hopefully we should see, I'd say somewhere by Q1 or Q2 of next year, 14 nanometer ramp back up and prices drop back down to normal. Because right now they're not rising yet, but they're bound to.
I mean, this is really more of the same. Pricing increasing because of the tariff. Pricing increasing because of shortage.
Yeah.
Pricing increase because you were thinking about a computer.
This trend is definitely driving me mad. I'm tired of the prices going up.
Yeah.
We're all gamers and we're sick of it too.
Are we going to go on a gamer strike? Should we do that? Or should we just all buy consoles?
Just nobody buys
Oh
G Fuel
God,
anymore.
Joe!
I
What's
know.
the matter with you?
I know, I said it. I said it. It's the PC Master Race curse word. Console. Ah! You keep that word out your mouth. That's a word that my daughter will never say in our household. Console. Go to your room.
Anywho, how do you guys feel about the testing being a potential bottleneck? Do you guys think that that's an actual factor, or what do you guys feel?
I mean, I just think
I
it's
feel
an
like it's just a
excuse.
half truth.
Yeah.
Myself. Like they're hiding something, just like they always do. They just kind of like give you little tidbits of what's going on, as most companies do. It's
Right.
natural. They're not just gonna flat out be like, yeah, everything's on fire. We don't know how to handle this, but we're trying this.
The light at the end of the tunnel is that Brooke had stated, which was a reminder that Microsoft did state a while ago that they were going to come out with mouse and keyboard support. However, that was like, what, a year ago?
Oh no, it's now coming out like.
It's coming out. It's now coming out now. Now it's coming out now. The problem with that, though, when I read into it, was that the games have to officially support keyboard and mouse. So the fact that I've been procrastinating on playing the Halo Anniversary Edition, which was a reboot, and just basically graphical remapping of all the Halo games on the Xbox One, with the intention to play it when keyboard and mouse came out, means nothing. Unless they push an update to introduce support.
For me, keyboard and mouse and console does nothing because I play most of my games with a controller anyways. I'm on the PC for the customization.
Yo, I'm on the PC for the customization. If I can't get my buttons at quick press on my thumb or my index finger, I want nothing to do with it.
No, it's the modding and the graphics. Come on,
The
Joe.
modding and the graphics. For the controller? What?
Have you played Dark Souls with the mouse and keyboard by any chance?
No. I played Dark Souls with a controller. I did play Dark Souls with a controller that I had, that I no longer own, because I threw it in the trash.
Did it make you feel dirty?
No. What had happened actually was I got to a bridge, the bridge in the very first level in Dark Souls that is inhabited by that dragon, and I wanted to kill that dragon. I wanted to do it. It was about a 45-minute fight, and I died. So I went back to that same bridge to get all of my equipment that I'd put probably a good 25 hours into, and the dragon came in, and I stayed up against the wall so the fire couldn't clip at me, and somehow the fire clipped through the wall and killed me, so I lost everything. So my immediate reaction was to hold my controller up into the air and slam it into my carpet face down, and I caved both joysticks into the housing.
Impressive.
So I threw it away. I uninstalled Dark Souls, and I have not touched it since. Because that was a level of anger I have not experienced as a gamer since I was probably maybe 8 years old.
And that's why Joe hates controllers with PCs.
No, I like controllers. No, hey, man. No. I am not biased against controllers. Don't get me wrong. There are games that I do play controllers in. Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain. I used a controller just because it made more sense. The new Final Fantasy that I haven't played yet, 15, I'll probably play that with a controller because it makes more sense. Really, most third-person games that are RPG-based that don't require a whole lot of precision with aiming, I'll use a controller. Nier Automata, I used a controller. So if it's comfortable, like, I'll use a controller. Oh, and of course, the King's Quest reboot, I used a controller. But if I'm serious about precision and aiming, like with PUBG, or if I play Call of Duty single-player campaigns, because I don't like to play COD on multiplayer, then what?
No, I'm actually with you on that one.
You just gave me a snap look. Like,
No, because I was surprised. Yeah, no.
The gopher.
I don't play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, multiplayer either. I just play the campaigns. It's wonderful to know that.
I know, right? Yeah. Chris apparently bleached his eyes. So there's that.
Good.
It's not nice.
I didn't even know what you said.
So, on that subject of us apparently getting to Mars first before Intel comes out with the 10 nanometer process.
Yeah, Musk is claiming we're going to get there by 2028.
Who's Musk is going to get there?
Good old Muskie.
Elon Musk.
Do you guys know his full name is Elongated Muskrat?
No, thank you for sharing.
I wish my forehead was bigger so I could have a better face palm.
It's okay. That way you can cover your eyes. You don't have to look at them.
So what's so important about getting to Mars by 2028?
Well,
is it because our planet is slowly dying?
Yeah, I, along with many other people, believe we're killing this planet. So if we could kickstart a new one, that'd be great.
You know the global awareness of it is bad, too, when you're watching Deadpool 2, and when a character gets asked, like, why did you come back in the future? Why did you go back? And he was like, because all you millennials trashed the planet to high hell. Oh, okay. Well, if we didn't have enough awareness, with Congress apparently trying to deny that global warming is a thing, then now you have it. Deadpool 2 approved and acknowledged.
So the claim that we're going to make it there by 2028 was made on Twitter after someone was inquiring about a concept image that was posted of the Mars base.
What does the base look like? Is it like several greenhouses?
Brooke, can you pull up an image?
Get an image of these greenhouses on Mars. I'm really hoping you're going to pull up an image that's just like a cliche Martian standing on a rock throwing up a peace sign. Like, that's exactly how it looks.
It's just some domes and some vehicles.
You're hitting my dome in my dome. It's just a dome within a dome within a dome. It's the biodome.
No, well, like, even as vague as the information that we're currently getting about this is, I'm really excited because I would like to see extraterrestrial colonization within my lifetime. So this actually, his claims that we're going to make it there by 2028 seem to fall in line with the official plans of SpaceX. They're currently constructing some unmanned crafts designed to carry supplies, which should be done in flying to Mars by 2022. Or sorry, the first by 2022, and it's followed by several more in 2024.
Wow.
So it definitely falls in line with preparing for a Mars base.
I'm just wondering if his tweets about this are kind of like the funding secured tweets where he said something and then it ended up not being true.
You never know with Musk. That's the exciting thing, because sometimes it's spot on, and then other times he just does a 180 and changes his mind.
I just want to know when Musk is going to partner up with the game studio and they're going to make a video game.
I believe that's called No Man's Sky.
Oh, awful.
Yeah.
Or Doom. That's what's going to happen on Mars.
I'm going to make a correction real quick on the subject of the keyboard mapping for Xbox One, according to Regulos, one of our viewers. At this point in time, is stating that the mapping is actually done within the dashboard at this current point in time. So the object is for it to, or the objective is for it to be implemented OS side. So if the OS supports it, then game should support it too. I really hope that holds up, truthfully. And then Josh wants to know how they're going to fight the radiation. Rad scorpions. With power armor, of course.
I believe there's methods of creating an electromagnetic field by using nukes.
Wait,
So
what?
maybe we can finally put the arsenals to use.
Nuke the planet and then go inhabit it? That sounds like a great idea. The first thing I thought of was the hills have eyes.
Hey,
Like the
you just
radiation with
you do
radiation.
it before you terraform it. That's all you know, and then it just all the radiation floats
But
off into
I
space.
thought Mars found evidence that there was life on Mars, and the reason why it doesn't anymore is because it was basically destroyed, like kind of like what is happening to Earth.
Well,
like Mars is what.
Maybe
Earth would
we're
look like.
originally from Mars.
Dude, I've seen a lot of theories about that, and some of the movies kind of make me wish it were true. Like, I don't know what movie it was. It was like the year 2000, and it had the actor that played Lieutenant Dan in it, and he was a Martian, or he goes to Mars on a mission and ends up finding alien life, and they basically end up telling him that, like, humans are a species derived from them, and that they sent us to Earth to inhabit it, to create a whole new species because their species was becoming extinct on Mars due to war.
Huh.
And it was really interesting.
That's a movie I think I'd like to watch, if you can remember the title.
I don't know what it's called.
Dang it, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
I can't see. I can't see what that comment says, but it looks interesting. What does
Doug
it say?
Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. Huh. Thanks, Bean.
So are we building the Dimmadome on Mars?
I hope so.
I hope so.
Can
too.
we? Can we build the?
Is it gonna be
Dimmadome?
like Dimmadome 1 and Dimmadome 2?
Dimmadome,
Are these
Dimmadome.
gonna be like different habitats?
Habitationary? Habitationary.
You okay there?
No, having a stroke.
What else is new?
So we're gonna move on to AVA news. Lots of things happening. Lots of things. Be excited. Be excited. Sorry,
Whoa.
you're fired. Get out. Unclip. Leave. So we are excited to announce that next week AVA will start in an official capacity our game streaming. And by game streaming, I mean like we're actually going to be playing video games and we're going to stream it to Twitch and YouTube.
Should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be super fun. This is something that we've been working on for a while and we're excited to do it. It's not going to be the same set of people. We have about a roster of what, like 11 people,
It says about right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a roster of about 11 people or so. Thank you, Brooke. It's very helpful. A roster of 64 fighter jets in the amount needed, right? And we're gonna play a couple of different games. I'm totally messing with you. I meant to say all that stuff. I swear. We're gonna have a bunch of different games that we're gonna play on a regular basis, but the titles will be up to the user to play. So you might have a couple of people playing a semi-appropriate game that may never be played again. I don't know, but we'll play the usual stuff like PUBG. We don't have any Call of Duty titles yet, but we will at some point. Fortnite is a title. We have League of Legends. We have what else? What am I missing, guys?
Dota.
Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter, Dota.
We're
And we'll
missing
keep
another
adding
one.
to the list as it goes.
Dota, Dota, Dota. Broforce? You want us to play Broforce, Josh? I mean, is it appropriate? Or are you recommending it specifically because you know how inappropriate it is?
Broforce.
I've heard good things about Broforce, honestly, so we
I've
may
heard it.
actually start playing it.
Played it briefly at a friend's house.
Right. Now, the AVA game streaming is something that we're kind of piloting, and that's why we have a bunch of people on staff that are going to be doing it. It'll be groups of 2 people. The groups will not remain the same, so they're not static. It will be dynamic. I will be paired up with a different person as time goes on, as will Zack, as will Gerard,
Yeah,
as will Zack.
all of us are going to be taking
Well, no,
part.
technically you're Zack today,
Yeah,
and you're Gerard.
yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
what's
get it
gonna-
right.
Get it right or pay the price.
We both drive Subarus. We're the same person, essentially.
Wow. So you guys are just kind of like this.
Yeah.
Huh? You're just like intertwined
Exactly.
like that.
You got it right.
Like with the legs too.
It's perfect mental image.
You just can't see it under the table right now, but
I can't wait
we're
to fall
intertwined.
asleep to that image tonight. Also, giveaways will be a thing. So we'll be giving away a lot of neat stuff from a lot of our partners. So you might see stuff from Logitech or Asus or Gigabyte or MSI or Enermax or Cooler Master or Zotac. No pressure in any of those manufacturers that are watching, but that's just kind of our idea behind it. And a lot of the partners we work with are open for doing cool things for you guys. So just stay tuned on that. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
Yep, 2:45, right?
2:45 every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, which may be increased to Thursday and Friday, depending. You will just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I believe I'm starting off on Monday with one of our assemblers, Keegan, and you're starting Wednesday, right?
Next Friday, the 11th.
Next
I
Friday?
think. Is
I already
that next
forgot
Friday?
my schedule.
Or sorry, not this coming Friday, but sorry, not next Friday, but the Friday after.
I want to say I'm
No,
playing.
sorry, that's Tuesday.
I want to say that
I'm
I'm
losing my
playing.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm playing
Okay.
with first. I didn't.
Just have to wait and find out. Yeah, you'll definitely be seeing a lot of new faces
Okay,
though.
so here's the October calendar. I can't see it.
Do you need new glasses, Joe?
The font's too small. I can't see. My eyes are blinded.
Help! Help!
Help me. Help me, Daddy. Get me down. I think I'll wear my Huggies. Okay, so we have Zach and Keegan on Monday. Tuesday, we have Travis and Parker. Wednesday, we have Wes and Joey. Hey, Joey. We have 3 Joes here in the company, so that's
Yeah.
Joey.
Joey is my supervisor.
Right. Monday, following Monday, we then have Sean and Casey. Then Tuesday, we have me and Kyle, so it's me and Coral. And then Wednesday, we have Chris and Gerard, right? And the following week after that, we have Brooke and Wesley. We have Parker and Keegan. We have Zach and Joey. And then that following Monday, we have Sean and Gerard. And then Joe, M, and Casey. And then Kyle and Travis. And then after that, it's Joey and Chris, Zach and Wes, and Brooke and Travis. So that's just that month. October.
So if you're into ridiculous, silly times, definitely tune in because
Yes.
all of us in the company
Oh, yes.
share this same relaxed attitude.
Yep.
Yeah, of course we do. Everybody's so relaxed, laid back, as much as you can possibly hope.
It's okay. We could talk about it later, Joe.
Next up on the list of news for AVADirect, we have our avatar. We brought up the avatar in previous streams. The avatar is our VR-eccentric gaming system. And the great thing about it is it uses colorful RGBs. So we have the blue theme because that was the original theme, and that's our company color. So if you like AVA, keep the color.
Are you sure? Is that the right color? It is the right color. You're
For
right.
crying out loud.
Blue's
Gerard.
where we stole our knowledge.
I thought we were green. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay, Joe.
We have several colorblind members of our staff. You'll fit right in.
I'm not colorblind. I'm color deficient.
I would like to try and point out if I can get a word in edgewise that this system was being marketed for $2,300, marked down to $2,300 from $2,500. If you call me, I might do better for you. And by mine, I mean I absolutely will. You hear that? Good.
Insert extension here.
The case, what makes the case really special to me is the fact that it has all the tempered glass, and it's not the crappy kind of tempered glass that if you dropped it, it would break into shards. But the kind of, so that's the chemical tempered glass.
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
true
actual
temper.
True tempered glass. So if you drop it, it'll break into tiny little oblong cubes. Little cubes. The side and the top also has tempered glass as well. It's not just the front, if you couldn't tell from the photos. It also has laser etching for our AVA logo.
Really, laser etching.
Yes.
That is fancy.
Laser etching is the process in which you use a laser to put a mark on something in an artistic manner.
Man, they have to have a really steady hand to use like a laser pointer to etch.
The future is here.
Future is now, old man.
Oh, etching the future is now. Wow. It's VR ready. It's liquid cooled and it's overclocked.
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 Clocked over the typical clock speed.
Why not
Overclock
underwatched?
it till it megahertz.
Wow.
We can overclock it, but can we underwatch it?
I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just going to sink down underneath the desk and call it a day. So we also have a few more exciting things in the pipeline, but you know, we can talk about that.
We'll announce them as they come.
Yeah.
In the future. Oh. We're going to move on to gaming news. Gerard has something that he's really excited about.
Oh, I'm passionate about. Fallout 76 will not support crossplay.
76, huh?
Yeah,
What?
76. They've skipped a few versions. No, Fallout 76 will not support crossplay across consoles. Now, the reason being is, well, they don't want to focus on crossplay. But just a few months prior, they were complaining about Sony not wanting to play nice with crossplay.
It's Sony Guts.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Have they not made up their mind? I thought they were adamant about crossplay.
They made a big stink about
Made a big stink.
Elder Scrolls
They did.
Legends not having crossplay and not wanting to put it on a console that didn't support crossplay. And now they themselves are not wanting to support crossplay for Fallout 76.
Make up your mind.
They seem to have some sort of a bias towards Xbox and Microsoft in general. a few months prior. I believe it was Pete Hines had mentioned that he would like crossplay between Windows and Xbox in some form or another. Wasn't quoted exactly that way. So it seems like they're sharing some sort of bias. Maybe they got into a disagreement with Sony.
I know why. It's the mod support. They depend on mods for long-term game support.
Yes,
so
they do.
So while the initial users may be playing on the vanilla servers for a while, you're eventually going to be like, okay, I want to get on a modded server.
Does that mean they're going to play on Stocklet servers too?
Yeah, PlayStation doesn't support mods, or sorry, their support of mods is much more limited.
No, in PlayStation, back in the PS3 days, they were trying to get support for mods when hackers found out how to introduce Linux kernels and different Linux OS versions onto the console, and then Sony locked that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So we had the option. I just want to circle back real quick to a comment that Regulus made about the etching. He said that he didn't know that etching would be a service, so he was going to call a salesperson. It is a service. There are certain systems that we do offer where the etching is default for branding purposes, obviously. And no, the avatar was not based on the blue aliens. No, this is not Cameron blah 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 blahs.
Was it based on the bald kid with the arrow in his head?
No, the avatar is because when you're in VR, you put the headset on. Whatever character you're playing is an avatar, is an extension of yourself. So hence, avatar.
Speaking of Avatar, did you hear they're making a live-action version of The Last Airbender? Yeah, new one.
Who's gonna play him?
Good question.
You know what's funny too? Well, to go back about the Sony crossplay, they act like it's something that they're giving to the community, like it's something that would benefit us, and while it does, it more or less benefits them, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because let's say you have your group of friends and most of them have an Xbox. You now feel compelled that you have to get an Xbox so you can play with your friends. Well, if you have crossplay and you happen to like the PlayStation more, you can go get the PlayStation. So
That's right. No more worries. Everyone's in good standing.
But that can also flop the other way. I think they're banking more on more people having PlayStation, you feeling pressured to get PlayStation. So.
Isn't that how the console race always works, though?
Yeah.
Don't they always try to find neat little ways? Like, I remember it started when Rock Band first came out. It came out on one console exclusively for like a month, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it came out on Xbox.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
Of course it did. Which, until Microsoft made the ability for you to play Xbox-specific titles also on your PC, that was huge for me. There were certain titles that were specific to the Xbox One that once they announced that there was crossplay between Windows and Xbox One, games that were only out on the Xbox One were being released for the PC as part of that process. Did you know that?
No.
Regulus says that Sony is winning the console wars. Is that true?
I think it's a little bit debatable, but they might be.
I haven't looked at the numbers recently.
Why is that debatable? Are you pro Sony or pro Microsoft?
Well, I'm pro neither, but I do see
Pro neither. Pro neither. Like, I don't support either.
I like PC, therefore I am pro neither.
There you
If you had to choose one or the other, what would you choose?
Xbox, because everybody that I know owns an Xbox. Simply that's the only reason. Otherwise, I'd buy a PlayStation because I really want to play God of War, and I also really want to play The Last of Us 2 and the new Spider-Man game. But then again, I also like Halo a lot. But now Halo's coming to PC, so now I have no legitimate reason aside from friendship to buy an Xbox, and it's tearing me apart.
You're tearing me apart, the console you chose. Tearing me apart. And yes, Sony is winning the console wars. He's right.
Yeah,
Regulus
sure
also makes a good point.
Yeah,
That's
Sony
a
has
big
75 million in sales, as to where Microsoft has a paltry 36,000.
Wow, I thought that gap was much closer.
So did I.
Now, are these worldwide sales?
That would make
Are
sense,
these
yeah.
worldwide? You know why? Because Sony is a staple in Japan. Sony,
Yeah.
Microsoft cannot, no matter how hard they try, they cannot penetrate the Asian market the way that Sony can. They just can't do it. Like, there are pictures of Xbox consoles and through all generations of them sitting on pallets in stores in Japan because they just don't sell.
It's the Japanese exclusives. They have so many exclusives over in Japan.
I remember when Japan had Nokia phones before the U.S. did, and they were like half the size of what they ended up being in the U.S.
So the number in the state. Oh, Brooks actually got it over here.
Yep. Look at her do all this work for you to just use none of it.
I'm sorry.
You're
I'm
a
sorry,
horrible
Brooke.
person.
I'm sorry. So the PS4 is still beating them out here in the States. It's 24 million versus 21 million here in the States. Switch has a total sales, just to throw it in there, of 5 million.
Well, you know, it's all
They're
the
keeping
kiddies.
up.
It's all the kiddies. Well, wait until Nintendo comes out with some sort of like a docking station upgrade that immediately allows you to play 4K games. Wait for it. The last console maker to ever do something like that was Sega with their Genesis. They had the Master System attachment, they had the 32X, and they had the Sega CD. Not in that specific order, but Sega had it right. They were like, man, rather than us investing in a whole new console, why don't we just create add-ons for our current console to cut the cost in half? So you had like major console manufacturers like Sony were coming out with the PlayStation, and then Sega was like, yeah, well, 32X for like half the price. Smart.
Yeah.
Why are we ragging on Xbox? It performs better, but does it? Does it though? 30 frames a second against 30 frames a second, it's the same thing either way.
Yeah.
PCMR.
Realistically, performance figures on consoles don't matter much. The people buying consoles, the main demographic, don't care about performance figures. They just care about convenience.
No, and I wish that I could speak on Nintendo Labo, but I've done zero reading on it because the moment I saw it involved cardboard, I just no. No. Although I gotta give Arby's I gotta give them props because the moment that happened, like they kicked up like their cardboard construction game in a big way.
What do you mean by that?
You know, Arby's used to do advertisements where they would take like their sandwich cardboard boxes and they would make things out of them and then stage them as their advertisement. And the best one that they did was the one for when Zelda came out for the Switch. For Breath of the Wild, they did like a scene of like Link standing around a fire, like cooking meat. I was like, this is amazing.
Nice.
It has a better user interface. Yeah. Wait, which has a better user interface? Xbox or PlayStation? Because if you say Xbox, I'm going to flip my notebook off this table. Because every time I boot up my Xbox where I haven't touched it in 2 days, it's like, your system needs an update. Wait 40 minutes. Sony's like, hey, you got an update, but while it does that, you can go ahead and use your console and we're not going to stop you from doing anything.
Well, that's nice.
Dude, it's actually awesome because I got the PS4 when that came out at launch, and then I got the Xbox One when it came out at launch. So having both experiences fresh in my mind, I got to literally see side by side which was better. And Sony, at their press conference when they released everything about the PS4, what it was going to entail, and price and release date, they said, we put tons of time and effort into making sure that the user experience was never interrupted, and they absolutely did that. As to where Microsoft, they do it to an extent. But it's like there are certain things you can't do unless you absolutely update, and then you need to update the UI, and then after you update the UI, you have to update the application, and then after you do that, it's got to apply, and it's just like, dude, I wanted to watch Infinity War, and I go for the Xbox for that because it supports Blu-rays, and PS4 doesn't, well, at least certain content, and I just sit there and wait like 35 minutes while it updated just to use the Blu-ray application.
Jeez.
It was awful.
That's why consoles suck.
Well, I mean, consoles won the Blu-ray media war because there still are not any viable Blu-ray options for PCs without having to jump through like 35 codecs.
Yeah, but I mean, with the advent of online streaming and all that, who realistically needs Blu-rays on PCs?
I don't think I've ever used a Blu-ray.
I haven't used a DVD or any sort of format of similar disc for better part of 5 years.
It's longer than that for me.
Yeah, and then it wasn't even for movies; it was for driver installs. Was the last time I used it.
Yeah.
So according to what ADub says, it doesn't the PlayStation run on a custom version of BSD? Actually, it's a derivative, but it's a custom OS based on free BSD called Orbis. So yeah, you're kind of right. It's good to know.
Orbis? Does that mean the next generation PlayStation is going to be called a Game Sphere because it's Orb-us?
How's your chance to facepalm again if you'd like to?
Come on, Drake and Josh reference.
I don't want to. I don't want to do it. Not at all. It just kind of reminds me of the custom Linux kernel that you can use to have kind of like an emulator interface. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
If somebody supported that. Nintendo's supposed to support some form of like an arcade for their old school games. So we'll see what happens. According to Josh, that Microsoft needs to bring out an Xbox Retro. See, but they could just push that with an app. Unless they make it super tiny. Sure.
I feel like Nintendo's like the master of that market because like Nintendo fans look for those niche products. I feel like it wouldn't hit off as well with other platforms.
And they're already doing backwards compatibility. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So good point, Brooke.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2 just had a big announcement. Like they're making backwards compatibility a thing for that game. I remember everybody started hopping on it and wouldn't stop talking about it.
Oh, really?
Made a big deal. Yeah.
Wow. You bought it again?
You bought it.
I'm sorry.
Shame on you.
That was my childhood. That and Halo.
See, I feel old as hell now because everyone's talking about Modern Warfare 2 as their childhood. I was like 22.
That can be your childhood if you want it to. Modern Warfare 1 was my childhood.
Realistically, will any of us ever truly grow up, Joe?
No, I'll never grow up.
None of us have, that's for sure.
I think at times that's what makes me an inadequate parent because when I need to be serious, I can't. Like I can be serious, I need to be serious, but it's a challenge. Because I myself am still a big kid. I don't think that will ever go away. I will grow up to a degree in terms of responsibility.
It's like I should yell at you, but I'd rather sit down and play with you.
Right? Like my favorite thing in the world is when she comes up to me and she's like, "Daddy, will you play video games with me?" I'm like, "Yes." And then she yells at me because she only wants to play Bubble Bobble for like 30 seconds, and she doesn't even ask me if you want to play a new game. She just walks up and hits the reset button. She's like, "New game." Because she'll die in the first 30 seconds, but I'll carry us on to like 8 levels by myself. And then if we play Mario, she can't take turns back and forth.
Well, she just got to get good. That's
I
what
mean,
needs
you're
to
not
happen
Wrong. Just bottle feed her a bunch of G Fuel, dude.
here. Doritos and Mountain Dew
That doesn't
for your
matter what
child.
Bottle feed her, she's 3. She can drink her own G Fuel,
right.
thank you.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
You're right, Josh. Somebody should tell Sony that Nintendo is the retro market, and hopefully they come out with a mini N64 so I can feel complete again.
Or a mini SNES, or
They have a mini
They
SNES.
will.
Did they? I thought they only had a mini NES. When did they come out with the mini SNES?
I don't know. When are you going to come out from underneath that rock?
Joe, it appears that you have a fan of your fathering. A-Dubs is asking if you'd be his father.
I mean, I can. We're going to have to start the certificates. I'm going to have to adopt you. I'll have to find a place for you to live that's outside of my house because I don't have room. I mean, I guess I could turn the pantry into like a room with a cot. I guess.
How did I miss that? Mini SNES. How did I not know about that?
Regulos is surprised that in gaming news you're not talking about the Fortnite national news about the Fortnite addiction syndrome. We did talk about that a while ago when it was brought up as like this could be a problem last week, actually. But it's okay. I think you're a first-time viewer, Regulos, so you'll catch up. It's okay. But that's still a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still is a topic, the fact that it's video game addiction syndrome is being recognized as like an illness.
And that Fortnite is.
It makes you
causing
wonder,
divorces.
though, in a world where very questionable actions aren't illnesses, but
Use the
video
Marvel-
games are.
Rugo wants you guys to use the Marvel de-aging tool on me. I don't know.
All right, Brooke. It's time for Photoshop.
I kind of feel like this sounds a little bit like the Boss Baby bottles. I just drink the bottle and I'll stay a baby forever.
Boss Baby bottles.
You've never seen Boss Baby?
No.
Oh, you're not a parent. That's right. Anyways, kind of ran over the time today, but I've been enjoying a lot of the comments that we've been having. You're 30 and you can make it happen. I'm 30, so I mean, maybe we don't have to be father and son. Maybe we could be bros, like stepbrothers.
You could do it like Don't Be a Menace, where the son's younger than the father.
Fool. That's the baby's lunch.
I'm sorry, did you say whether the son's younger than the father? Isn't that normal?
You've never seen Don't Be a Menace?
Okay, before we
Or
start
the father's
talking,
younger than the son. Sorry.
before we start talking about really inappropriate topics as it relates to Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood, we're going to go. So, appreciate you guys joining us this week. It's been fun. Let us know if you have any other interesting topics you'd like us to discuss next week. Or maybe you want to give us some topics that may trigger myself, or Zack, or Gerard.
Yeah, just throw them in the comments. We'll talk about them as they come up.
Yeah.
We will. All the things, all the times. Once again, this has been fun. I'm Joe.
I'm Gerard.
And I'm Zack.
You have a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.